The nature of modern celebrity culture is an intricate and often unforgiving machinery that thrives on a perpetual loop of observation, analysis, and unfiltered critique. For decades, those who step into the public eye have signed an unwritten contract that grants the world access to their talent, their art, and inevitably their personal lives. Yet, in the digital era, this boundaries-blurring phenomenon has escalated into something far more intense and invasive than anything witnessed in previous generations of entertainment history. The arrival of global social media platforms transformed the casual observer into an active commentator, creating a landscape where public figures are examined under a microscopic lens that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is a world where a single image captured in an unguarded moment can instantly ignite a global conversation, spreading across continents within seconds and spawning millions of individual opinions before the subject of the photograph even realizes it has been taken. This constant state of surveillance shapes not only the careers of the artists we admire, but also the very way we interact with human beings who happen to possess fame and widespread cultural influence. As we dive deeper into this fascinating exploration of public perception and personal boundaries, we invite you to become a permanent part of our community by subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications so you never miss our in-depth analyses of the moments that define our shared cultural landscape. To truly understand the weight of his contemporary phenomenon, one must look at the historical trajectory of icons who have navigated the shifting tides of fame over multiple decades. When an artist debuts at a very young age, the public develops a unique sense of ownership over their image, growing up alongside them and cataloging every phase of their development as if they were a close acquaintance or a family member. This deep-seated familiarity creates a fascinating psychological paradox where the audience expects the celebrity to remain frozen in the exact aesthetic and chronological window in which they were first introduced to the world. Any deviation from that initial nostalgic blueprint is frequently met with surprise, confusion, or a wave of unsolicited analysis from an audience that struggles to reconcile the passage of time with their own static memories. The pressure to maintain an unchanging facade is immense, yet it is an impossible standard to uphold because the natural laws of human existence dictate that growth, maturity, and transformation are completely inevitable for every single individual on this planet. When the unstoppable force of biological reality collides with the immovable object of public expectation, the resulting friction often plays out across the digital airwaves in real time, exposing the raw vulnerabilities of fame. Earlier this week, this exact dynamic was set into motion once again when a series of new photographs featuring a highly celebrated R&B star and accomplished actor began rapidly circulating across various social media networks. Almost immediately, the machinery of online speculation kicked into high gear as users across multiple platforms began to dissect the images with an intense focus on her physical appearance. What began as a scattered handful of observations quickly ballooned into a massive, decentralized discussion that dominated timelines and comment sections across the internet. In the absence of direct context or verified information, a multitude of self-appointed commentators stepped forward to offer their own interpretations, theories, and assessments regarding the artist's well-being and current life circumstances. The speed with which these narratives were constructed and disseminated highlights the insatiable appetite of the online ecosystem for continuous commentary on the bodies and health of public figures. Often under the guise of concern or analytical interest, as the hours progressed, the takes and opinions began to pop up with increasing frequency, transforming a localized moment of curiosity into a sweeping online trend that showed no signs of slowing down. The discourse quickly fractured into various competing viewpoints, with some users expressing deep worry based entirely on visual assumptions, while others used the moment to generate speculative content designed to capture views and engagement. This wave of unchecked commentary created a tense digital atmosphere where a real person's daily life and physical form became public property for debate, a scenario that has become all too familiar for veterans of the entertainment industry. The intense focus on her body and the widespread public discussion surrounding her health served as a stark reminder of how thin the line is between public admiration and invasive scrutiny in the modern media landscape. The widespread nature of this discussion soon reached a critical mass, making it impossible to ignore for anyone following the latest developments in contemporary music and television culture. Audiences watched as the conversation evolved from simple observations into sweeping generalizations about the nature of aging, the demands of the entertainment industry, and the responsibilities of fans. This growing digital storm set the stage for an inevitable confrontation between the manufactured narratives circulating online and the lived reality of the artist herself. For days, the internet buzzed with unanswered questions and escalating theories, creating an atmosphere of anticipation as the public waited to see how this latest chapter of celebrity speculation would unfold. It was within this environment of heightened attention and intense global scrutiny that the legendary performer chose her moment to step forward and address the world directly, shifting the paradigm of the entire conversation in a way that few could have anticipated. When the digital noise reached its absolute peak, Brandy Norwood decided that silence was no longer an option. Choosing to confront the escalating waves of public commentary with a profound message delivered directly through her personal social media presence. In a carefully crafted Instagram post shared on Saturday, she bypassed the traditional public relations apparatus and spoke directly to millions of followers. Addressing the intense speculation about her appearance head-on with an elegance and clarity that instantly shifted the tone of the global conversation. Instead of issuing a defensive statement or providing a clinical explanation to satisfy the curiosity of strangers, she elevated the discussion into a broader philosophical reflection on humanity, aging, and the unrealistic standards imposed by society. Her opening words set a deeply contemplative tone, suggesting that perhaps humanity has been looking for the true essence of beauty in all the wrong places, chasing illusions that are fundamentally unsustainable. She pointed out that people constantly search for meaning in youth, in perfection, and in external approval, desperately seeking validation from fleeting standards that offer no real substance or lasting fulfillment. By identifying these misguided pursuits, she touched upon a universal struggle that resonates far beyond the confines of Hollywood or the music charts, speaking directly to a global audience that is systematically conditioned to fear change and worship an artificial ideal of permanence. She expanded on this idea by noting that society expects people to exist in bodies that never change and possesses faces that never age, pointing out the inherent absurdity of demanding that a biological being remain completely static over the course of a multi-decade life journey. Life, she argued with profound conviction, was never meant to leave human beings untouched by the passage of time or the weight of experience. The human experience is designed to be a transformative process that naturally shapes individuals, humbles them through challenges, and refines them into deeper versions of themselves as the years progress. Every single season of a person's life leaves its unique, indelible signature upon their physical form and their internal character, and she proposed that this natural evolution is precisely where true beauty has been hiding all along. True elegance is not found in escaping the natural reality of change or attempting to erase the markers of time, but rather in the courageous act of becoming through it. Embracing the fullness of one's evolution as a badge of honor and a testament to survival, the depth of her reflection continued as she addressed the staggering asymmetry between the speed of public judgment and the complexity of a human life. Noting that she has personally learned that it takes only a single fleeting moment for an observer to form a definitive opinion about someone's appearance. In contrast to that instantaneous and often reckless judgment, it takes an entire lifetime to fully understand what a person has actually lived through, what battles they have fought behind closed doors, and what burdens they have carried across the span of their existence. This profound realization led her to issue a heartfelt plea to the digital collective, asking that humanity become significantly gentler with one another in their daily interactions and public commentary. This call for gentleness was not rooted in a perception of widespread vulnerability, as she clarified that it is not because everyone is inherently fragile, but rather because every single person is carrying a complex story that remains entirely invisible to the outside world. Her words carried a distinct artistic weight as she reminded her audience that words possess a genuine, measurable impact, emphasizing that our words have weight, our judgments have weight, and conversely, our kindness does too. She acknowledged that the modern world will always face the powerful, almost irresistible temptation to measure human beings exclusively by what is visible on the surface, relying on superficial metrics to evaluate worth and status. However, she contrasted this societal tendency with the enduring nature of genuine love, declaring that love has never looked only at the physical surface. because true love possesses the unique capacity to see and appreciate the whole person in all their complexity. This powerful distinction served as a direct challenge to the culture of rapid clickbait and superficial critique that dominates contemporary media platforms. The narrative tensions within her statement reached its climax when she explicitly declared her independence from the validation loops that hold so many public figures captive, stating that she has completely stopped trying to earn her own reflection in the eyes of others. She further explained that she has stopped asking the mirror to tell her who she is, effectively severing the tie between her self-worth and her physical appearance or the opinions of the public. "I know who I am," she stated with absolute certainty, and she emphasized that this deep internal knowing has ultimately granted her a profound, unshakable freedom that absolutely no outside opinion or public commentary could ever take away from her. This declaration of autonomy marked a pivotal moment in her public journey, representing a conscious rejection of the toxic expectations that frequently derail the mental and emotional well-being of icons who grow up under the relentless spotlight of fame. As she brought her monumental statement to a close, she offered a final grounding thought intended to leave her readers with a lasting perspective that could alter how they perceive every human being they encounter online or in reality. She expressed a sincere hope that if her post leaves the audience with anything at all, it should be a fundamental remembrance of human connection and basic empathy. Before you speak about someone's body, before you speak about someone's face, and before you decide exactly who they are by what you see with your eyes, you must remember a simple, undeniable truth, she concluded with striking emotional resonance. You are looking at someone's child, someone's trusted friend, someone's ultimate dream, and someone's precious life. You are looking at a living soul, and she reminded the world that souls have always been infinitely more beautiful than surfaces. This final defense of the human spirit over physical appearance sent shockwaves through the digital sphere, instantly triggering a massive wave of public support and widespread praise for her remarks from peers, fans, and cultural critics alike. Even though her original post was configured to restrict direct comments, the message could not be contained, spreading rapidly as users across the internet began reposting her words and sharing their own profound reactions to her stance. The text became a viral phenomenon in its own right, forcing a dramatic reassessment of the behavior that had triggered her response in the first place. On platforms like Twitter, the commentary flowed continuously as fans used her words to push back against the culture of body shaming and invasive speculation. One prominent user expressed deep frustration with the status quo, stating that they absolutely hate the fact that she even had to post something so vulnerable, pointing out that people are simply too accustomed to talking about other people's bodies as if they actually know what those individuals are going through in their private lives, calling the entire situation incredibly sad. Another commentator took a more direct and triumphant approach to the situation, observing with a sense of definitive closure that Brandy had essentially told the collective internet to respectfully shut the fuck up at the same time. Longtime admirers used the moment to celebrate her enduring legacy and striking essence, with one enthusiastic fan exclaiming that she was looking exactly like she had just walked off the promotional photo shoot for her iconic Aphrodisiac album, demanding that critics stop playing with her name and status. Another definitive voice cut through the noise to reinforce the core boundary of the entire situation, reminding everyone that regardless of fame or public status, it is still absolutely not your place to speak on someone's body under any circumstances. This groundswell of support effectively turned the tables on the speculators, transforming a moment of invasive scrutiny into a powerful celebration of self-determination, maturity, and the undeniable cultural authority of an artist who refuses to be reduced to a mere surface. To truly comprehend the magnitude of this moment and why it resonated so deeply across the global cultural landscape, one must examine the extraordinary journey of the woman at the center of this digital storm. Long before she became a symbol of modern grace and self-determination in the face of invasive scrutiny, Brandy Norwood was a foundational architect of contemporary R&B and a trailblazing force in television and film. Emerging from Mississippi and rising to prominence in California during the early 1990s, her distinctively warm, smoky vocal tone and intricate harmonic arrangements fundamentally altered the sonic DNA of popular music. Her self-titled debut album announced the arrival of a rare prodigy, but it was her sophomore masterpiece, Never Say Never, that elevated her into the stratosphere of global superstardom. spawning era-defining anthems that dominated the international airwaves for months on end. Her artistic identity became synonymous with vocal excellence, earning her the revered moniker of the Vocal Bible from peers and aspiring vocalists worldwide, who spent countless hours analyzing her complex phrasing, breath control, and innovative choices. Simultaneously, her career shattered institutional barriers across the entertainment industry, proving that a young black woman could anchor a massively successful primetime television sitcom while maintaining a dominant presence at the top of the music charts. Through her landmark series, Moesha, she provided a generation with a nuanced, relatable, and deeply authentic portrayal of teenage life, navigating family dynamics, education, and personal growth with an accessible charm that made her an integral part of millions of households every week. This cultural impact was further solidified when she was handpicked by industry icons to portray Cinderella in a groundbreaking, diverse television musical production that attracted tens of millions of viewers and permanently redefined who could embody classic fairy tale royalty. This historical achievement inspired countless young people globally, establishing her as far more than a pop star. She became a living symbol of representation, possibility, and creative excellence whose influence continues to echo through the work of today's most prominent artists. Navigating a career of this magnitude over more than 3 decades inevitably requires weathering immense personal and professional shifts, all while under the unyielding gaze of a public that rarely permits its icons the grace to be human. From the heights of chart-topping success to the deeply painful moments of personal loss, health challenges, and the natural evolution of life, her journey has been a masterclass in resilience and artistic survival. The music industry is notorious for its disposability, often discarding veteran artists in a restless pursuit of the next youthful trend, yet she consistently found ways to reinvent her sound, protect her creative integrity, and command respect across multiple generations of listeners. Her ability to remain a vital, respected voice in a rapidly changing media environment speaks volumes about the depth of her talent and the authenticity of her connection with her audience, making the recent wave of superficial commentary all the more striking to those who appreciate her historical contributions. The widespread public reaction to her recent Instagram statement marks a significant turning point in the broader, ongoing dialogue regarding how society treats its enduring cultural figures, particularly women who have given their entire lives to the arts. For too long, the prevailing internet culture has treated the bodies and personal lives of celebrities as public property, rewarding the most invasive theories and malicious critiques with clicks, engagement, and financial profit. By directly dismantling this toxic framework with philosophy, emotional maturity, and an uncompromising assertion of her own humanity, she effectively forced a mirror back onto the audience, demanding accountability for the casual cruelty that defines modern digital commentary. The passionate defense mounted by her global fanbase and the profound agreement from the general public suggests that a growing segment of the population is becoming deeply fatigued by the endless cycle of body shaming, ageism, and the commodification of personal health. This moment also serves as an important reminder of the profound psychological toll that continuous public scrutiny can inflict on an individual, highlighting the urgent necessity for a collective shift toward empathy and emotional intelligence online. When an artist addresses the world to remind them that behind the famous name, the classic albums, and the iconic television roles lies a living soul, a child, and a friend, it disrupts the dehumanizing machinery of fame. It forces the casual social media user to pause and consider the real-world weight of their typed words, emphasizing that digital commentary does not exist in a vacuum but lands on real human hearts. Her message did not just defend her own personal peace, it stood as a protective shield for every person who has ever felt marginalized, criticized, or judged by an arbitrary societal standard that values a flawless surface over a deep and beautifully lived story. As the global conversation around her statement begins to stabilize, the enduring lesson of this chapter becomes abundantly clear to anyone willing to look beyond the immediate headlines. The true measure of an icon's legacy is not found in an unchanging physical form, an elusive standard of youthful perfection, or the fleeting, unpredictable approval of anonymous internet commentators. Instead, it lives in the permanent mark they leave on the culture, the timeless art they create, and the courage they display when defending their personal boundaries and their right to evolve naturally through the seasons of life. Brandy Norwood has proven once again that her artistic authority is matched by an equally powerful internal strength, demonstrating that a well-lived life, complete with its challenges, refinements, and triumphs, is infinitely more valuable than any temporary aesthetic ideal. Ultimately, this entire episode transcends the specific details of a viral social media post or a passing weekend trend, embedding itself into the ongoing history of how we choose to honor our living legends. It challenges the media, the fans, and the casual observers to foster a culture that celebrates longevity, respects maturity, and understands that the passage of time is a natural process to be embraced rather than a flaw to be corrected or hidden away.